Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English Podcast, a podcast designed to immerse you in the English language in a relaxed and natural way. My name is, of course, Gideon. Thank you so much for joining me again today. I hope you've had a superb week, whatever you have been doing, or wherever you are in the world. Now, as always, as it seems to be the theme, there's a little bit of a story with today's episode, which I think happens quite a lot. I've noticed that as I go through past episodes, seeing ways that I can improve and be better, I've noticed that there always seems to be a story or a reason as to why something is the way it is or why I haven't done a particular thing. But I have a bit of a story with this week's episode. So if you watched last week's episode, which of course you have because you're loyal and you will watch and support anything I put out, if you haven't done so already, quickly run over there, watch that podcast, then come back. But you'll notice that last week I had an absolutely stunning view. I was on holiday, but I recorded a few podcasts. Now, I say a few podcasts because that was my goal. I had this beautiful view. I had this stunning location. I thought, yeah, this is a great place to record podcasts. So I did. I recorded 2 or 3, I think. Last week's one, of course, went out. And this week I went to upload the other podcast that I had prepared. And for some reason, rather than upload it, I decided to delete it. So that's the first part of this story. I did have another podcast prepared, which I really enjoyed going through. But for some reason, I decided to delete it. And that leads me to this point now. So I should actually be back in England right now. I should be back in England. So I thought, you know what, I've deleted it. It's okay. I'll just record one when I'm back in London. So the flight that we have to take from Dominican Republic, which was supposed to be yesterday, flies via Miami. So we go from Puerto Plata in Dominican Republic to Miami, then Miami on to London. But unfortunately, due to adverse weather conditions, according to American Airlines, our flight was cancelled. And it has been cancelled or postponed until tomorrow. So technically, I should be flying home tomorrow. And I went through that whole process of, do I just leave the podcast for a week? You know, is that okay? Do I just leave it for a week? You're all lovely people, you'll understand. And then I was sitting there this morning and it was just eating at me. And I thought, no, Gideon, get a podcast out. They deserve it. So that is what we're doing today. So it's just going to be a nice, relaxed little chat. I'm going to talk about a few things. I wanted to answer a question that a lot of people have asked me recently. And also I wanted to talk about something which is quite close to my heart, particularly in the teaching environments on social media. Okay, and then we're going to end with just some travel holiday terms, expressions that you can start using on your next trip. So as I say, it's going to be a nice and relaxed chat today. I hope you do enjoy it. And if you haven't done so for whatever reason, don't forget to please subscribe to my channel. I post these podcasts on YouTube and Spotify every Sunday at 10 a.m. And of course, give the video a like. And if you are feeling so kind, please leave a comment saying hello, whatever you want. Yeah, just say something, because you know that algorithm loves comments. Okay. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about with you today is a question that so many people ask me all the time, particularly in comments. I get messages on Instagram or via email, which is, should I learn British or American English? And I know this topic has been touched on so many times. Should I learn British or American English? And I just wanted to express some thoughts on this, because this might be you at the moment. You know, you're thinking, which one do I learn? Which one do I focus on? Okay, it's all communicating in the same language, but when it comes to pronunciation and spelling and particular vocabulary and expressions, you know, you do generally have to make a choice. And I think a lot of people get caught up in this. You know, which one do I learn? Which one do I focus on? And I understand that, because, you know, it's a lot of time and commitment. So this is my thought on it. And I would like to come back to the primary reason as to why you are learning English. So before we answer the question, British or American English, let's go to the primary reason as to why you are learning English or why we learn any language. It's to communicate, isn't it? To communicate freely, to speak to people all around the world in the English language. That is the primary focus. And you can do that whether you are learning British or American English. Okay, there are differences, but always keep that your primary focus. Learning to communicate, learning to speak. Okay. And I think sometimes people focus on which they should learn, which accent they should learn, which words they should use, before they kind of just really hone in on that primary reason as to why you are learning English. It's to communicate with others. That is always the primary focus. Now, when it comes to British or American English, I do believe it's helpful to make a choice. Now, of course, I think you should take in every form of the English language, listening to all different accents, different dialogues, but, even in the United Kingdom, English, Irish, Scottish, all of these different accents. I think it's important to listen to them so you can build your overall understanding and comprehension of the English language. But when it comes to yourself and the way that you would like to speak the English language, I do think it's important to make a choice. And the first way that I would make that choice is simply, what do you prefer? What is your preference? Neither is right or wrong. And that's, to me, the most important point. Neither is right or wrong. They are simply different. Okay? So, for example, if you are learning American English and you come to London and you speak with a bit of an American accent, use some American dialogue, people in England aren't just going to ignore you or laugh at you simply because you've learnt American English. Now, just as a note, if you heard that motorbike which is flying past right now, that's probably going to happen quite a few times throughout this episode. There's a road there and the motorbikes are very loud here. So I apologise. There's nothing I can do about it. I promise. If I could, I would. But I can't, so I shan't. Yeah. Back to the point. If you speak with an American accent, you come to England, people aren't going to laugh at you or say, why have you learnt American English? You should have learnt British English. No, that's not how it works. But just go with your preference. What do you prefer? Where do you live? If you're living in America, learn American English. If you're going to be staying in England, learn British English. But the reality is, go with what you prefer and what you like the most. Because if you like it, you will continue with it. Just don't go with one because other people have told you that's the English you should learn. Or, if you really want to succeed, you need to speak this type of English. No, I believe that's a load of rubbish. Just go with what you prefer, because if you go with the one that you like, then you'll stick with it. And you're much more likely to succeed in your English learning journey. It's like learning a sport. Let's imagine that you had two choices of sport to learn, to play. Okay, you had golf and basketball. If you absolutely love the idea of playing golf, you've always wanted to be good at it, would it make sense to learn how to play basketball? No, you learn to play golf because you love it and you'll stick with it. It's quite similar to learning British or American English. Go with the one that you like the sound of, the one that you prefer, and you are most likely to stick with it, because that will help you to reach the fundamental goal, which is to communicate freely, naturally, and openly in the English language. Whatever will help you to get to that point is the most important. But one thing I would say at this point is that once you have chosen either way and you've gone down that path, stick with it. Don't give up or try not to chop and change all the time. But I am a firm believer that try and take in as many different forms of the English language as possible, not to speak with a weird concoction of accents, but just so you have a better comprehension, a rounded understanding of the English language. So there's my 2 cents on that. I hope that did make sense. But basically, in a nutshell, focus on the primary reason, which is primary reason we learn a language, which is to communicate freely, and then go with your preference, which you prefer and which will better suit your life choices. Okay, that was point number 1. Now, the second point that I wanted to address or talk about, and this is really from a student's point of view and also a teacher's point of view, and that is to keep language learning a positive space, to keep it a positive process, a positive environment. Because, there's a bike going past. I hope you can't hear it. I'm pretty sure you heard that bike because it was extremely loud, but once again, there's nothing I can do. So I do apologize if for any reason that comes out extremely loud, particularly if you are listening on headphones or with headphones. But yes, keep language learning a positive space. And of course, we're going to focus on learning the English language. I think we all have a duty. We are all accountable, whether we are a student or a teacher, to keep learning a language a positive thing, because it is incredible, isn't it? And it's very uniting to an extent. It brings a lot of people together. I've met people from all around the world. I've made friends through teaching the English language. And it's the English language that brought us together. And it is an incredible thing. And I always think that sometimes we undermine or we play down what we are doing when we learn a language. It's a massive thing. It's an incredible thing. Okay, we're all at different stages of this journey, but programming your mind to communicate in a different language is an amazing thing to do. That it's an amazing thing to even want to do or to start doing. And I think sometimes we forget about that. I think basically what we do is we just compare ourselves to everybody else all the time. We look at their English and think, mine's English isn't that good. I'm rubbish. Or we watch TV programs, think, I'm never going to sound like them. What's the point? Or we watch or listen to teachers on social media that say, don't say this, don't say that, do that. And it can create quite a negative process. And it can also create quite a self-destructive view of our own English. So let's make it such a positive space, rather than leaving comments on somebody's English saying, you pronounced this wrong, you did that wrong. Keep it a positive space. If we want to correct someone, do it in a kind way. Do it in a nice way. If we hear or talk to somebody else speak in English and perhaps their level isn't quite as good as ours, or they make a mistake, let's build them up rather than tearing them down or criticizing different accents and pronunciation. I can't believe you speak with an American accent. The true accent is British. Load of rubbish. Let's create a positive environment, but also create a positive view of yourself when it comes to the English language. And actually, throughout the years of teaching, I've realized that this is a process that many students have to go through. And that is realizing that their English is not that bad. They are doing well, and they should be proud of where they are. And I think that is a real key to progressing and, again, reaching that point of communicating freely in the English language, is to think of yourself and your English in a positive way. Now, what about teachers of the English language? Well, we definitely, more so than anybody else, have a duty. We are accountable to always make learning the English language a positive environment. And if your teacher isn't doing that, then there's a problem. But particularly on social media, on YouTube, it can be very easy to tear down others that are teaching the English language in a non-constructive way. And what I mean by this is, okay, on social media, unfortunately, there is some incorrect information. So you have to be very careful with the accounts that you follow and trust. So go with the ones that you know are true and honest, and they're giving correct information. But I think that at the moment there is a trend of making posts that always correct other teachers, that are always saying, no, this is wrong, blah, 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 which is good. You know, we should correct mistakes, but we don't want to make it a space where we're tearing down other teachers. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we get it wrong. And I think that can sometimes assist in creating a bit of a negative environment, which it should never be. Perhaps if we notice that there's some incorrect information out there, maybe we could simply just message that person privately, or maybe we could simply make a post with the correct information, rather than calling out just for views, rather than just, tearing down a teacher because we know it will get some attention. I don't know, I hope this makes sense, but what I'm trying to say is that I think we all have a duty to keep learning the English language a positive environment. Let's focus on building others up rather than tearing down or looking at others' English through a critical lens. What a shame if we're doing that. We're all at different levels. We're all at different points. We all have different accents, pronunciation. We speak at different speeds. We use different words. That's not a problem. It's okay. But let's always try and keep it a positive environment. There you go. Once again, that's just my thoughts on that. So, what I thought we could talk about next is, of course, at the moment, I've been traveling, which, because of the delay in flights, will probably, I've been traveling for about a month now. I apologize so much for the bikes. Honestly, it's quite early in the morning in recording this, but the bikes have just decided to start flying up and down this road. So I do apologize for the noise. But I've been traveling for about a month now, and I thought we could just look at some terms that we might use when traveling. Let me know in the comments as well, where was the last place that you traveled to, or where would you like to travel to? Or, even better, send me an email of an interesting or funny story you have had whilst traveling. GSL-English1@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you. If you've got any funny stories traveling, please send them over and I'll read them out in the next podcast. But we're going to look at some expressions today that I've come across just over the last few weeks. I thought, let's just go through them in the podcast just to make sure that we fully understand them. The first is focused around when you go to a hotel, when you stay at a hotel or a particular house or location on holiday. You can book 3 types, okay? You can book an all-inclusive hotel, you can book half-board, or you can book self-catering. And I thought we'd just go through what they mean. So the first one, which I have to be honest, is probably my favourite, and that is all-inclusive. Now I'm trying to think when the last all-inclusive holiday I went on was. I think a long time ago. But basically, all-inclusive means that everything is included. So you pay beforehand. Generally in England, you get this as a package deal. So you pay for your flights, you pay for your hotel. And then when you go, everything is included. That means that your breakfast is included. Your lunch and dinner are included. All of your drinks are included. It's all inclusive. Now, I love these kind of holidays. I know some people are completely against them. But I have to be honest, particularly when you're working really hard, you're busy all of the time, you're tired, I think there's nothing better than 7 days, all-inclusive, at a nice hotel where you don't have to think about anything. You just go in and out of a swimming pool, have breakfast that's made for you, lunch and dinner that's made for you. I love this. Now, I know other people like, no, you have to see the country. You need to go out exploring, and I've definitely got friends like that. And I do like those kind of holidays, but life's busy. Life's crazy. There's always something to do. So I have to be honest, I am a fan of an all-inclusive. I absolutely love it. Going down, getting your breakfast, not having to think about anything. So yeah, let me know. Are you a fan of all-inclusive holidays? The next option that we brought out was half board. Half board. And half board generally includes 2 meals. One of those meals is always breakfast. So that is included in the price that you pay for the holiday. The other is lunch or dinner. Now, dinner is most common, but many hotels are flexible, if you ask to switch. But generally, breakfast, dinner, and then you have to pay for your lunch and generally your drinks in between breakfast and dinner. So with breakfast, coffee, perhaps orange juice will be included, and then dinner, you might get a glass of wine or a beer or something like that. But everything in between, you got to pay for. In my experience, although you end up paying less money at the outset than an all-inclusive, half board always ends up being more expensive, no matter what. And that's one of the reasons that I love all-inclusive. I'm not thinking about how much more money am I spending. You don't think about it. Everything is paid for. Perhaps the only thing you pay for is tips for the staff. And then the other option is self-catering. Basically saying that you cater for yourself. So you book the accommodation, you book the house, wherever it is that you want to stay, and then you look after yourself. I've done quite a few of these holidays, particularly with my family, driving through France and things like that. You book a house, you drive to the house, then you go out and you do a massive shop for the week, getting all your drinks, your food, everything you want. And this is quite a nice option because you have full control over what you want to eat. And there's something quite nice about having the place to yourself. I do like that. And then family all cooking together. So it's quite nice as well. This is what we did recently, actually. Last week for the podcast, we were in a place called Las Terrenas, in Dominican Republic, which was absolutely stunning. But it was self-catering. So we went out, got a load of food, breakfast, lunch and dinners. And after that, we just didn't really leave the house. It was lovely. We had a swimming pool. And you've got full control over what you're eating and what you're drinking. So yeah, they're your 3 options. All-inclusive, half-board, or self-catering. Now, a few other expressions that I thought we could just talk about. The first is this, and I like this. I'm partial to one of these, and that is a staycation. Staycation. A staycation is a noun that basically is a vacation, or in British English, a holiday that one spends at or near one's home instead of traveling somewhere. Okay? So a staycation is where you take some time off work or you take some time to relax, but basically you're going to stay at home or you're going to stay somewhere very close to your home. And I was very anti this. I thought, no, if I'm going away, I want a break. I want to get away from home. But we did one recently, I think, just like a long, maybe 3 or 4 days. And it was really nice. The rule was that we couldn't work. No social media, no work, no nothing. Treat it like a holiday, but you're at home. And it was nice. I wouldn't do it every year, but I tell you, it was quite nice. So a staycation, not a vacation, a staycation. Basically, a holiday where you stay at home. Okay. The next one, some people on holiday, I am not one of these. They like to do things at the crack of dawn. At the crack of dawn. And that is to do something just as the sun is rising. Doing it basically at the earliest point that you can. Some people love this. And I respect people that can do this on holiday. I don't have the willpower or the mental strength to get up at the crack of dawn on holiday. Some people, they want to get up at the crack of dawn to watch the sunrise or to go for a walk to a beautiful location. And I respect you. If that is you, are you willing to get up at the crack of dawn to go somewhere that, I don't know, to walk 2 hours to a particular view that's most prettiest in the morning? I respect you if you can do that, but not for me. Can't do it. Can't do it. At the crack of dawn. I know I went on holiday with someone once, a good friend of mine. And it was only whilst we were on holiday that I realised he's somebody that likes to do this. So the first day I did join, we went for a walk, beautiful sunrise. And then after that, I was like, no, sorry, it's not for me. And he continued to do it. So I do respect it, but definitely not for me. Okay, and the last expression that we are going to look at is you've caught the sun, or to catch the sun. Now, this is very different to soak up the sun, which we've looked at in another video. To soak up the sun is basically to sunbathe, to get a tan. But if you've caught the sun, it's an idiomatic phrase that refers to getting sunburnt. And now this is definitely something that I do. Very often on holiday, I catch the sun. So it's not going that golden brown colour. It's burnt, it's red. I've been very good this holiday. Been wearing sun cream everywhere, a lot of it. Gone through a lot of sun cream, but I haven't caught the sun. But I think as well, sometimes we do use this in a positive way as well, although generally it refers to getting sunburnt. If, perhaps a friend that you haven't seen for a while comes round for a coffee and they look nice and brown, you say, oh, you've caught the sun. So it can, just that they look healthy, golden brown, they've got a tan. So it can also be used in a positive way. But generally, be careful. You're catching the sun, or you've caught the sun, got a little bit sunburnt. So there you go. That is today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too boring. Listen to me ramble about different things. As I said, I did have another podcast prepared that I was very pleased with, actually. We were just going through some good news stories. And it was really happy. It's just a really nice podcast. But me, being the silly man that I am, decided to delete it for absolutely no reason rather than upload it. And I can't find it anywhere. I have spent hours trawling through my laptop trying to recover it or find it. But alas, it is gone. So I've just got to let it go. So maybe I will re-record that podcast once I'm over it. There's nothing worse. This might happen to you with certain projects when you spend so long on something and then it's gone. It takes a while to mentally get over that. So once I'm ready, I will re-record that podcast. But yeah, thank you so much, as always, for watching these episodes and listening. I really do appreciate it. And we get some lovely comments and some lovely emails just, saying how much you do enjoy these podcasts, not just to learn English, but also to relax. I think someone said a comment, that when the podcast comes out, they feel that it's time for them to switch off a little bit and just relax. And that makes me unbelievably happy, because that's exactly what I try and do with these. I do want to create something that is educational, you can learn something from, but also just a little switch off from normality, which I think is really important, isn't it? It's important to have those things where you just switch off from everything in life a little bit. So if this podcast can help you to do that, then I am very happy. But thank you so much, as always. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you all next week back in London. Have a good one, guys.